The act of finding certain items in Diablo 2 Resurrected makes finding Tyrael's Might look like an underachievement. Many moons ago, we did a list of 5 super rare items that most D2 players never find. We're doing a part 2 because there are a ton of extremely valuable items that are far less common than most of those precious high runes that we all know and love. I want to thank everyone who's subscribed to the channel since that video. Your support really does mean a lot. To celebrate you, let's take a look at even more rare items that players like you and I will probably never find. Let's dive in. The first item on the list is quad res boots. Many of you might be thinking, Coooley, you can only find up to 3 resistances on boots. What are you, crazy? I'm just here to let you know that it's possible to effectively find 4. Here's how. As with some other items on this list, these boots are rare items and can spawn with up to 3 prefixes and 3 suffixes. While the mods responsible for spawning up to 40 to any resistance are prefixes, there's an additional suffix responsible for reducing poison length duration. Because of the way poison damage works in this game, this is essentially just as useful as poison resistance itself. If you effectively reduce the amount of time that the poison has to take effect, your poison resistance will essentially be amplified. As with any set of rare boots, these will need some other mods on them to fetch extreme value. Those mods include faster run walk, faster hit recovery, replenish life, or dexterity. An extremely rare gem in-game. While it's possible to find these 5 to 6 point items, most players that are in need of them will end up trading for them. One of the things I'm very happy to see with the launch of D2R is the variety of sites that support in-game trading. I'm not talking about JSP or RMT bullshit that we're spammed with in-game, but instead sites that actually focus on empowering players to make trades in-game, yet outside the game. The creators of DiabloDex were kind enough to sponsor this video, but I wouldn't have agreed to do it if I didn't genuinely appreciate what they're doing. I think this app has the most potential of any that I've seen of becoming the true standard for D2R trading. It's very user-friendly, and you can quite easily see the trades people are posting in real time. Additionally, there's a search feature, so if you have some specific needs that you're looking for, it's easy to find those as well. When you find an item that you're interested in, you can see what other players are asking for in-game for that item, or just take a look at what that player might be in search of in general. Being able to see item graphics, descriptions, and offers in a clean list sure beats sifting through public trade games looking for the same. So whether you're an in-game trade shark or just keeping an eye out for some items that you might need, or some items on this list, I would definitely suggest checking the app out and let me know what you think. Link is down in the description. But I'd be extremely surprised if we ever saw this next item pop up in any trading forum, and that is the Amp Zerker. While Grief has dominated Diablo 2 as the best-in-slot weapon choice for a lot of PvM character builds, there are certain melee-only rule sets in PvP that consider Grief to be bad-mannered, or BM. In light of this, Zealots and Zerker Barbs alike seek to acquire insane weapons that allow them to deliver some of the most vicious damage in the game. The name Amp Zerker is a bit of a misnomer here, as there are a few different bases that are perfectly acceptable for certain builds. But the key components are the same. The prefixes should be Cruel, allowing up to 300% enhanced damage, Fools, which will give a bonus to attack rating and max damage based on character level, and then either the Mechanics mod, giving it 2 open sockets, or the Masters mod, giving it up to an additional 150% ED for a grand total of 450% enhanced damage. And for the suffixes, we're looking for Of Quickness, giving 40% increased attack speed, Self-Repair, because we're gonna wanna find these items in ethereal form, and the big kicker here, Of Amplify damage. This will provide a certain chance to cast the curse Amplify Damage on striking your target. In case you didn't know, that curse lowers your opponent's physical resistance and allows you to do nearly double damage. Even finding one of these weapons without the amp damage proc can be insane, but if you do find one with all of these mods, I wouldn't suggest letting it go for cheap. I like to call these next items the Amazon boomsticks. While Titans are often the best in slot choice for PvP and PvM builds on an Amazon, there is another option that can put an Amazon dueler onto a different planet. These will also be ethereal class-specific javelins for the Amazon and will pack a walloping punch with the amount of damage that they can deliver. Most importantly, you're going to want them to spawn with the inherent Lancers mod, giving them +3 to javelin and spear skills. From there, we're going to be looking for the Valkyrie prefix, giving it +2 to Amazon skills, effectively +5 to javelin skills. The Cruel mod, giving it enhanced damage, and also the Masters mod for an additional 150% enhanced damage. From there, we're going to want the of Restoration suffix, the of Quickness suffix, then either amplify damage or knockback. These types of javelins can be extremely useful for high-level PvP, especially on hybrid Zons. While these javs are truly one of a kind, you'll likely be searching for years before you find anything close. Next up is the Perfect Ethereal Tomb Reaver. While we did mention perfect uniques on the last list, there's one unique in particular that's rumored to have never been found on BattleNet. The ethereal version of Tomb Reaver is a unique cryptic axe that has so many mods with such a wide range of variants on each of them. Even if you found one ethereal with 3 open sockets, perfect damage, perfect resists, and perfect magic find, you'd still have a couple of more abilities to go with regard to finding it 100% perfect. There's also an additional amount of damage that is done to undead monsters and life after each kill that can truly troll an otherwise perfect roll. This weapon is used on some niche mercenary builds along with some melee druid builds. It has the potential to be the best in class for some setups, but good luck finding perfect rolls on even half of these abilities. Speaking of melee, the next item on this list could fetch you a fortune if you find it in D2R from some very devoted melee players. And that is, of course, the 306099 jewel. Many people don't know what they're looking at with rare jewels, if I'm being honest. But certain things can make them extremely valuable. Rare jewels almost always need to spawn with the maximum amount of useful mods, which is 4, in order to fetch an outlandish value in the secondary market. Usually the useful attributes are faster hit recovery, replenish life, all res +10, or single res +30, and then there's strength, dexterity, attack rating, and enhanced damage, of course. Since not all of these useful abilities can roll as high on rare jewels as they can on magic ones, the quality of the rolls really matters. The 306099 is a perfect roll on all 4 of its stats: 30 enhanced damage, 60 to attack rating, 9 to both strength and dexterity. It's rumored that only a couple of versions of this have ever dropped in the existence of D2 LOD. The Wraith Talisman jewel was the most famous one because of its massive duplication on BattleNet in the days of LOD. The reason these jewels are even good is that most competitive melee characters are seeking nearly all of the things on this jewel for their builds. Luckily, with the freshness of D2R, if you do find a jewel with all of these mods, it likely won't have to be perfect in order to conjure up some serious feelings of price memory and garner genuine interest from melee players willing to pay for such a prize. What other items do you know of that players rarely ever find? Let me know down in the comments.